those that haven't really had much of a crack at the assignment. We have a slab here, the orange part, concrete slab, which you're working out the reinforcing. It's actually relatively simple. The hardest part is this little bar that curves around here. I'm trying to figure that one out, which Lemming's not going to give you the answer to, and neither am I. That's the one you're going to have to dig deep. But the rest of them are all overlapping in single bars, just straight bars. So it really doesn't require that much maths, but you know, you need to put a little bit of effort in. You've also got to design these here. I didn't give the exact dimensions. You've got to put some bolts in there, 4 of them. We've got a portal frame here which is welded, this piece to the beam part and the other column over there, and the angle brace, they're all kind of welded together. So they're a square piece, a hollow piece of steel, square hollow, and there's 4 of them, and they're also welded down here to the plate. They'll come to site with that plate welded on them. And they'll also come to site with those little purple angles there up the top, on top, ready for the timber purlins to be put on to them on site. So it's a relatively easy, relatively quick structure to work. If this really was being built at Unitec, one day you'd see the slab in the ground, and if you weren't here for the next bit, it'll easily be done in a day with a crane or a hoist, and bang, that'll all be, the frames will be up. So our job in 3D is to pretty much duplicate that. You don't have to do it to a scale, because 3D drawing isn't really about doing things to a scale. What 3D drawing's about is to try to give you a perspective of what something looks like if you were to kind of look at it from an angle. The best view is normally slightly bird's eye and more of an isometric view from one corner. And you pick your corner according to what information you can see the most of. So if I turn that around and look from the other side, I wouldn't see all the angles very well. So it wouldn't be a very good 3D if I can't kind of see those angles. It would make it look like it's the timber's sitting on there some other way. It will have to go into a title block frame. And one thing I need to warn you about with 3D, what you see there is a rendered version. Rendering means that there's shading on all the 3D stuff. And what is in model space doesn't automatically show up rendered in your viewport. So you need to go inside the viewport and render it inside the viewport quite often. You'll see that when the time comes. It's a bit weird because you look at it, you render it, go back to model space, and it's totally different looking. You can have them duplicating as well. So let's see what we need to do this. I might have to put my goggles on, everything's a little bit small here, so it's one of the joys of getting older, having to wear goggles. So, some of you have found that out already. I've been in denial for about 30 years. Finally had to get glasses a couple of years ago. Okay. Right, Mr. Four Eyes. So I'm just going to go into, oh, that was moved. Sorry. Into Moodle, 3D Teachers copy. Oh, it's up there. So I've cheated a little bit of, and I think as a teacher you should be allowed to cheat a little bit. After all, it's not me that has to draw it up for an assignment, it's you, oops. It's you fellas. Make it smaller. Get over there. Alright, so I've got myself a teacher's drawing. So to do that, I've drawn up the reinforcing. In fact, this is what's on the assignment, this part. But I've done a few extra things, like I've done that dimension there, 2217, so I know how much to offset the portal frames. I've done this little dimension here, so I know how much to offset the purlins. Okay? So apart from that, nothing's much different. I've drawn this up in elevational view, and I've also done P-lines, the yellow P-line there for the concrete. I've done a P-line here for the plate, a P-line on the other side for the plate. I've done a green P-line around all of this, and I've done a P-line here and a P-line here for the brace. So you will have to draw those up yourself. I'm not going to go through that process. They're all fully dimensioned on those elevations. Assume that this is at 45 degrees and the dimension down to there is 600. Okay? Right. So this is exciting. We're ready to go. So I'm going to do exactly what I just said before. I'm going to view this from an isometric view and lie it down at the same time. By the way, this is dangerous. That represents a danger zone. I'm pretty sure Ingrid told you that. But if you're one of these students that go, oh, let me see. Oh, if I click on here, oh, I got that. Okay, I click on the top, I got that. North, that. Yep, but I'm not quite sure where I am, but oh, that's right, you hold the shift key down. Yeah, where am I? I've done all this work and I don't know how to get back. Don't play with that thing up there. It's going to confuse you. You'll end up drawing the damn thing upside down. You'll get confused at what view you're looking at. Leave it alone. Okay, I can't stress that more. It's possible to accidentally click on it. So in that case, we can go back to a few basics. So I still haven't completed my putting things in AutoCAD Classic. So I'll go undock there. No doubt most of you have already got yours in AutoCAD Classic. And the other one down the bottom here, which the snap settings. Oh, they're on the screen. So, dynamic import. Okay. Alright, we're pretty much there. So I'm going to go View up here. View, 3D views. Now, I know you were shown this in your first week with Ingrid, and there'll be a lot of students go, oh, we didn't know she did. I know that, because you did a cube and you spun it round, okay? If you missed that first week, when you came into class in the second week, and she says, you said, did I miss much? She probably said, with a smile on her face, no, you'll find out about it. Well, this is where you find out about it. Okay. We're going to look at a view called Southwest Isometric. So we'll click on that, and it's spun it round to a view that I can deal with now when I'm doing this. I'm just going to delete this because it could well get in the road and confuse things. But I'm going to keep these because I'm going to probably need to read some of these dimensions. So at the moment, this is my 3D object. Okay, now on a blank piece to the right, either there or over here, or up the top, I'll do it over here. I'm going to right click and go AutoCAD and Modeling. Modeling. So AutoCAD and Modeling. And that has come up over here. I'm not quite sure why it's come up over there. Oh no, it hasn't. That's something else that's come up over there. That was my, what's it called? Dialog box at the top. What's come up over here, and I'm going to bring it over onto the main screen, is this here. No, it doesn't want to go on the main screen. There it is. Okay. That's my modeling tools. So when I right clicked on here and went AutoCAD and then went to modeling, I got these buttons up here. Now, I like to put them over here up out of the road, but where I can see them. You can dock them on the side as well, if that's where you prefer view. You can also put them on your other monitor if you've got too many. Now, the main one we're going to use is one called Extrude, which is this one here. Now the cool thing about it is if you leave your mouse hanging over there, it'll tell you what it means and what it actually does. In this case, we can extrude any P-line to form a extruded shape. So how long is that? I think it's 7 meters long. What does it say here? Yeah, 7 meters long. So the slab itself is 7 meters long. So I'm going to click on it and go extrude. Notice it started to do that. Now, there's a reason why it's doing that, and that's because I've set my visual styles to realistic. How do we do that? View, visual styles. Now if it was 2D wireframe, and I clicked on it, and went extrude, it'll do that, you see. Now this is for the benefit of the students that bought their computer from the warehouse. Or they found it on the back of the truck. This will not break your computer. This will not make you freeze. This is a way around any problems with your memory in your computer. Alright? So we cater for all sorts here. This is for the students in the class that are living off the street. They can still do their homework. Actually, to be fair, you're better off coming in here and doing it. But be careful, there are a few PCs in here that aren't very good. I've had students put their hands up and go, oh, I nearly finished the 3D and it just crashed on me. Yeah, that's because they didn't like doing it this way. They preferred to do it the way that I want it presented, which is view, visual styles, realistic. Now you can do realistic, you can turn it to realistic at the very end. Works just as well. Anyway, I'm going to click on here, click on that, aim upwards and type in 7,000. Enter. Now I'm looking at that, it's going to be a bit of a pain to do the rest of these things at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'll do that last. So I'm just going to undo that. And the first thing I'm going to do is my purlins, which are also 7 metres. I'm only just going to do one, click on it, click on extrude, aim upwards and type in 7. Oops, not 7, no. Click on it again. Told you I'm making a mistake. Aim upwards, 7,000. Now, I'm going to copy that from that corner to that corner, to that corner, to that corner, to that corner. Make sure you've got the end point on. To that corner, to that corner, to that. This one will be to that corner. Anyone know how long the angle is?
150 by 110.
So how long do I extrude it? You need to know how long you can extrude it and you'll get yourself half the money. I'll give you a clue, it's one of those two numbers.
Could be 110.
I think you're right, but I'm just gonna see what it says. 150 by 75, but they're 110 long. Sorry, 150 by 110 by 10. Let's have a look at the dimension. That's the 110 there, I'm sorry, and the 150 is the height. They're actually 200 wide. But if I haven't put it in the notes, I'll have to give you the half mark. Be a shame. Yeah, 150 wide is the answer. Sorry, can't. That one. So we're going to extrude it by 150. Click on here. I could do them all at once. There's another way of doing it. So I'm clicking on them all at the moment. So last time I copied it a million times. This time I'm clicking on them all. By the way, I've done a P line. You'll find those angles in the assignment itself on Moodle in CAD form. But anyway, I've clicked them there. I've gone click. And I've aimed up, but this time I'm only going to aim up. I'm aiming all the way up there, but I'm only going to type in 150. Enter. Now the angle should be on a layer called steel or something like that, so they've actually ended up on the timber layer. Actually everything's on the 3D concrete layer, so I'm going to put things on the right layer. I'm clicking on them all and 3D angle. And then click on
The
the
bottom
leaves.
part of the bracket is 110. All that.
Big one?
The bottom of that bracket.
Yeah, the
is 110.
bottom's 110, the height is 150.
I did get it right.
Yes. But I said how much to extrude it by. You were right with, you nearly got there.
I was just making sure I did it right on my drawing.
You don't have to draw them on the drawing because they're in the assignment. You can actually grab that. It's an AutoCAD block and put it into your drawing.
I would have saved you time.
Oh, okay. Did everyone hear that? For those that haven't started their drawing, there is a block with that angle in it in your AutoCAD assignment. I would suggest it might be a little quicker to grab it, put it on your drawing. If you've already started drawing it, You can still put it there if you want. You need to use that block when you work out your area and your calculations for the steel. Anyway, I'm going to put this onto purlins, and now I'm in a position where I can do the frame. So I'm going to click on that part, and that part. Now the frame is, better get it right, 150 by 150. So we need to extrude that by 150. Very important to have ortho on here. Okay, so I'll now going to put that onto a layer called frame or 3D or 3D plate, 3D angle. Don't have a frame, so we'll call it quarter frame. We do. There it is. Alright, lastly, the slab. Click on that. I'm going to extrude it, and it's going 7 meters, so 7,000, and enter. Right, now one would say we're on our way, but what our biggest problem is we need to actually stand this up, don't we? So over here you'll see a very special button. If you hold your mouse on it, it'll say 3D rotate. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on all of this, the big window, green window, enter, and you'll see we have the 3 rings round the planet. I'm going to start by clicking. I can't remember which one it was. Pretty sure it's the green one, but if I'm wrong, we'll click on the red one. So let's click on the green one, and it's turned orange, and it's definitely not the green one. Okay, I should have ortho on here. No, it's not the green one. So let's try the orange one. So 3D rotate, grab it all, enter, and click on the red one and see if it turns orange, and aim upwards and go click, and we're done. So it was the red one, remember that, alright? Now, so far so good, but what we haven't done is we forgot to do the plate, which is this one here. I'm going to click on that, and I think I'll take it about 400. That'll do at the moment. You all need to try and work out a dimension that works for your holes. That looks a bit big, doesn't it? We are going to move that by 50, but I think it's probably more. I'll leave it. No, I'll undo that. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to extrude it this time by 300. I'm also going to move the green structure and with the blue window, all the angles with the blue window and the green structure, but not the purlins. I'm going to move them all, enter from here, aim down that way, 50. Now you'll see that it's moved on the plate. By the way, the plate I'm now going to put on the right layer, which is that layer. And now for some Smarty Pants 3D work. First of all, I'm going to try and mirror that to the other side. I might just delete that dimension. So I'm going to type MIRROR or click on the mirror icon. And with a blue window, so I don't pick anything. Oh, I've picked up some of this. I'll make sure I don't pick it up. So R for remove. enter, from the midpoint there, aim across and go click, enter. So I mirrored it from the midpoint there to the midpoint on the other side. Now the reason why I did a dimension here is because I can now copy that 2217. Remember that, 2217. I'm going to hold the shift key down and turn it around so it's in a more desirable position. And I'm going to copy that, one more, copy that, enter 2217, and double that will be 4434. Enter. That's it. I've now done my 3D model. I'm going to rotate it just to make sure that everything's there. Looks like it is. Pretty cool and pretty quick. But now we're going to go into a viewport. We'll make a new, I'll copy a viewport like the section one. We will copy. And copy. Okay, so I've got the viewport here. I'm going to rename that 3D. I'm going to click on it, and the problem is that in the drawing itself, when I do it in the viewport, it's not only the plan view, which I don't want, it's also in Visual Style 2D. Yeah. So how am I going to fix that? Well, I'm in the viewport. I now go View, Visual Styles, Realistic. That's looking better. I hold my shift key down in my middle roller and I move it round. Now the key to this is to get it in a position that you're comfortable with it without anything in the background showing. So maybe there. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Alright. So let's have a look at the assignment because I want to get these things right on how much it's going to be worth. I think it's worth 5, but I could be wrong. Oops, that's a civil assignment. I don't want that. Here's a structure. Assignment 3. Right at the top. So, by the way, those steel timber members are in here. The square one is the portal frame. What I'm looking for is the actual assignment, which some of you haven't even read yet. 3D. Draw a simple 3D model, not to scale, for 3 marks. So what I've drawn is, I've pretty much given you 3 marks. It's Christmas, everyone. 3 marks worth of lollies for everyone. To get the extra 2 marks, you've got to think about drawing up some of the other things on there. Bolts, washers, nuts, screws, roofing, windows, internal clip. Tell you what, I'll give you a bit of a heads up. I'm going to draw a bolt, wash and nut, and we'll throw that on there. All right? A bolt, a washer, and a nut. Only because I'm feeling generous today. Oh, guess what I haven't done? I haven't copied these across. 1, 2, 3, 4, from that point to that point. Alright. So, the Dynabolt. Let me see. It's got a 20mm diameter, so we'll go up here to the cylinder, which is here. And if it's 20mm, it'll be 10 on the cylinder, and the height would be about 100. There's our bolt. Let's just turn it to something a bit different colour. Okay, so that's probably going to have a nut head on it, right? So I'm going to do a circle. I'm going to copy another circle from the centre point of that circle to quad point on there. I'm going to copy that from the intersection of there down to there to the other quad point. So what I've done there is I've done that so that I can do a P-line that is in the shape of a bolt head. You can do it any way you want. I'm just showing you a way to do it. Now delete all these circles, and we have a bolt head. Now it's a bit big at the moment, so I'll scale it down a bit. Say 0.5. Not bad. I'll move that from there over to here. I'll scale it a little bit more here, 1.2 or something. And I'm going to extrude that. Let me see, 6mm, 7mm. Extrude that. Now I'm going to move that down. And then I'm going to extrude that. Let me see, maybe about that much. And we've got ourselves a washer, a nut, and we'll mirror that nut down the bottom. Or copy it, sorry, down the bottom. So I've just drawn a nut, just like that, eh? Now, the problem is, it's going to have to go into the plate over here. So we'll change them all to white so we can see them all. And the plate, I'll have to do my calculations for the hole, but let's just say it's this way 50 and that way 50. So that's my end point for the centre, and I'm going to move this from the centre of that circle. Oh, something happened there. I'm going to move that from the centre of there to that point there. We don't, I'm going to copy all this to the side because we'll start using it on another one in a minute. We don't need the nut or the Dynabolt. We don't need the washer. So we'll just simply move the Dynabolt down into the plate. I'm going to mirror that from that point there across. I'm going to mirror that from that point there across. We now have all our bolts in place, so I can now go copy, grab them all but not the plate, from that point to that point to that point to that point, and of course you can copy it and mirror it down to the other side. So I can mirror that, take the lot, R for remove, which is, you know, with that, go on that, on that, and that. Enter from the midpoint of there, across, and you notice that I've mirrored the Dynabolt down there as well. Now, there are other shapes up there that you might like to, I mean, I've drawn that. You can download, I will allow you to download nuts and bolts off the internet if you want to. If you're doing the civil part to try and get a bonus mark, you can download trees off the internet if you want. There is a few things up here which might be helpful in terms of some of the things you can do. There's like a wedge thing here you can do maybe for the there's cylinders, there's things you can put for welding. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing there. There's donuts, there's pyramids, there's all sorts of other shapes you can use to do things on your drawing. If you want to try and do the civils, you need to do something called 3D face. 3D F-A-C-E, enter, and you do a shape that goes from, say, there to there, back down to there, and another one, 3D face, type it again, going from there to there to there to there. It looks like a really bad PlayStation game with the grounds all in triangles. But of course it must mirror the triangle, the ground line of your civils. If you want to look at, say, a roof, then you know you can do something like this. Let me see. You could do a P line that went like that, and then up. Oh. You can do a nice even roof like that. You could rotate it using the same rotation and the red line. Well, that one's not rotating without the green line. click on it, 3D rotate and green line space. And then you type extrude, and you can get the fancy view of a roof. See that? That's pretty cool. I did the shape of a roof and then I extruded it. Alright? So 3D is only limited by your imagination. And so that's your bolts, your nuts. I would suggest that you could do kind of like a doorstop around there, a little cylinder to show the welding. Okay. Now, a word of warning, just before I finish. It is actually quite good fun once you do it, only because you see something, you've actually produced something and you're a bit proud of yourself, right? You do your maths homework and you get an answer and you go, oh, no big deal. You do some surveying and you end up at the right level, no big deal. You draw up Roger's pictures, no big deal. You do this and you go, oh, that's pretty cool, I did that, right? So don't spend your whole life on it. I really want you to get on with other study as well, and that's why I've only made it 5 marks. And 3 is for what I did, 2 more is for the nuts, bolts, washers, another, remember you've got some screws holding on the purlin, the angle to the purlin. So there's quite a few to put on there too. And the other word of warning is, when you bring in stuff off the internet, it's quite big sizes, and if you copy the bolts 1,000 times, you're going to end up with a big file. So the big file then goes to your computer. Hold on, you haven't got enough memory. I don't know what to do. So it's like one of those goats in Afghanistan, I think it is, where they just freeze. And that's what happens to your computer. Is it Pakistan, Afghanistan? One of them has got goats that they're a bit weird. They just suddenly freeze. If you've seen them on TV. Is it India? No. They're all saying we don't have goats. What about the cricketer that's just retired?